Tonight, a bombshell breakthrough in the missing campers mystery. A shock arrest in a high country confrontation with police. Exclusive details. Relief for the families of Russell Hill and Carol Clay after 20 months of pain.
Absolutely amazed, actually, but scared as well.
Also tonight, a father's brave tribute to his children after a heartbreaking house fire. Live coverage as police hunt for a driver wanted over a deadly hit run in Melbourne's northeast. And Cricket Australia blasted in a surprise twist in the Tim Payne sexting scandal.
Live from Melbourne, 7 News with Peter Mitchell starts now.
Good evening. A senior airline pilot is being questioned by homicide detectives tonight after a day of extraordinary developments in the missing campers case. The 55-year-old was arrested in a dramatic confrontation when heavily armed police were dropped into his high country campsite by helicopter. Cassie Zervos has this exclusive report.
The breakthrough key to cracking one of the state's biggest mysteries. This is the four-wheel drive linked to the disappearance of campers Russell Hill and Carol Clay. Police allege it was deliberately painted from blue to beige to avoid detection. Helicopters dropped heavily armed police into the Lacola bush to seize the vehicle and arrest 55-year-old Gregory Lynn. The suspect is an airline pilot, currently a Jetstar captain who's flown internationally for Qatar Airways. He was tracked leaving his Caroline Springs home yesterday morning, travelling more than 230 kilometres to Lacola. His high country arrest 100 kilometres from where the campers went missing.
Absolutely amazed, actually, but scared as well. Because we've been holding this together for 20 months now. 20 months is a long time.
It's this Nissan Patrol seen leaving the burnt-out campsite that led detectives to the pilot. Gregory Lynn's social media posts over the last year show a family man on camping trips.
Piece of cake. Who's scared? Me.
This four-wheel drive is now a key piece of evidence in what has been a long and meticulous investigation. Everything found inside has been seized and now the vehicle will be taken away to be forensically examined.
Because it's been such a mystery, it's just been a bit unfathomable. There's no sense that there's a reason for this.
On March 19, 2020, Russell Hill left his Druin home and picked up Carol Clay. A day later, Mr Hill made his last known contact, telling a friend he'd set up camp in Wanangata Valley. A passerby discovered their burnt-out campsite but didn't see the pair. The missing persons investigation sparked intensive searching over 19 months, but no breakthrough, until a person of interest emerged just over 2 weeks ago. The driver of a mystery dark blue vehicle seen leaving the area. The main line of investigation, there was a campsite altercation.
The only reason we can assume that Russell didn't camp in the best spot was that potentially there was somebody else already there. There's been some sort of argument that maybe it's escalated from there.
Both Carol and Russell's family made desperate pleas through the painstaking police investigation.
It's hard. It's really hard. It's not getting any better. Not knowing.
Now a career pilot is in custody and police attempt to answer what happened to 2 loved family members in the Victorian high country.
If this can be resolved, we can then let go, have a memorial and move on. But until that happens, we can't.
And Cassie Zervos has the latest live from Sale Police Station this evening. Cassie, the suspect is now in a 12th hour of questioning.
Well, Mitch, this is Victoria's biggest missing persons cases, and a tenacious and dedicated team have been working behind the scenes for almost 20 months. A huge police operation yesterday saw detectives from the Missing Persons Squad and the SOG arrest a 55-year-old man at his campsite in East Gippsland. He remains here at Sale Police Station being questioned by members. I have been told questioning will go long into the night and possibly into tomorrow morning. As for when charges will be laid, that is still unknown. Mitch.
Well done, Cassie, and thank you. A grieving father has told of his desperate efforts to save his 4 children when the family's Werribee home was engulfed by fire. He described how he tried to rescue them 3 times but was driven back by the intensity of the flames.
Bandages covering extensive burns, a broken father mourning his 4 angels.
I'm going to miss everything from them, every little moment.
Nagmaldan Osman did everything he could to save 10-year-old Hamid, 6-year-old Asin and 3-year-old Nadia, asleep in the back room when the fire took hold. 1-year-old Elaine was by her parents' bedside. Tragically, in the confusion, the father couldn't get back into his room to save her.
I swear that was killing me because I could save her. If I knew that was fire, I could save her.
The flames too fierce.
3 times, that's why I get burned like this. 3 times, I get cut these stitches. This from the glass, because I've been breaking the glass like this.
Mr. Osman says he and his wife owe their lives to their one surviving son. 8-year-old Ibrahim raised the alarm when flames engulfed the Werribee home in the early hours of Sunday morning.
He said, why I have to live in this life while I got no brothers, I got no siblings, I got nobody.
Despite the unbearable grief, Mr. Osman says he's finding strength from the overwhelming amount of support from friends and strangers right across the country. More tributes were left at the Mentallo Drive property today.
Just seeing it all unfold when it did and feeling really helpless, it's just, we still can't comprehend it.
The cause of the blaze is still under investigation. A GoFundMe page has raised more than $300,000.
Thank you for everything and for everybody supporting me.
Sarah Jones, 7 News.
Police are hunting a killer driver after another hit-run tragedy on Melbourne roads. The victim was left for dead at St Helena, with detectives tonight searching for a mystery light-coloured SUV.
Left for dead in the middle of the road, in the middle of the night.
Well, it's quite a low act.
This car, possibly responsible for the hit-run death, spotted heading north on St Helena Road in St Helena around 2:45, the same time the pedestrian was struck. Police think he was walking on the road.
I believe so. Or at the very side of it.
The thud woke a nearby resident who told 7 News he got on his knees next to the victim, checked for a pulse, put his hand on the man's back and couldn't feel breathing. Combined with seeing the head injuries, he knew the man was dead. Other neighbours slept through it, stunned to learn what happened.
That's pretty grim, isn't it? That really is grim.
The victim is yet to be formally identified, but a witness said he appeared dishevelled and malnourished.
We believe that he's homeless and dosses down in that area. He'll be fingerprinted to see if he's got a criminal history or if he's known to police.
The road was closed for 7 hours as investigators looked for clues and the driver responsible. How do you classify that sort of person?
About the bottom of the barrel.
Police say it is possible the driver didn't know that he'd hit a pedestrian, but that resident who came to try and help and saw the extent of the injury says he finds it impossible to believe the driver was unaware and that the car must have some damage. Either way, Mitch, tonight police still looking for that car and that driver and hoping other witnesses come forward.
Paul Dowsley at St Helena, thank you. COVID deaths have spiked, with 19 more Victorians losing their lives to the virus. But Daniel Andrews says fewer people than expected are in hospital as Melburnians are free to travel to South Australia for the first time in 4 months.
Despite our alarming COVID figures, Victorians were welcomed back into South Australia as the border reopened there.
Beautiful, beautiful Bobby.
Melbourne's Mary Clark met her 3-month-old granddaughter Arabella for the first time.
It's just indescribable. I've been thirsting for this moment for a long time. Haven't I, Bobby?
South Yarra's Chris Leach had not seen his family since April.
I've been up all night, packing, unpacking my bags, just so I can come see my mum and dad and my brother, my sisters and my nieces and nephews.
But a stark reminder here, COVID tragedy continues. 19 deaths reported over the past 24 hours, but some date back to November 12th. Their ages range from 52 to 105.
17 of those 19 people were not fully protected by a COVID-19 vaccine. I don't think you need any clearer demonstration than that vaccination's important, vaccination works.
There are now 303 people in hospital with COVID, 97 overall in ICU, promising, according to the Premier.
The conversion of cases to hospital admissions is lower than we thought.
From the opposition, a key health policy for next year's election, a new infectious diseases hospital. Our last one in Fairfield was 90 years old when closed by the Kennett government in 1996.
It's a new facility, a purpose-built facility, one that is going to be one of the best in the world.
We used to have an infectious diseases hospital. It was closed down. I can't recall who closed it down. I don't think it was a Labor government.
Nick McCallum, 7 News.
And COVID case numbers are surging in Europe as Germany's health minister issues a dire warning. He says by the end of their winter, people will either be vaccinated, recovering or dead. Austria has just gone back into lockdown for a 4th time and is making vaccination compulsory from February.
I don't like it when people get forced to do something they don't like to do, but I don't see any other way out of this.
The country is bracing for more violent protests through Christmas. China's President Xi Jinping has taken a swipe at Australia's plan to build nuclear-powered submarines in partnership with the US and UK. In a pre-recorded speech, President Xi told a summit of Southeast Asian leaders making a peaceful home together in the region is a top priority.
Threats that they're going to go into Taiwan and threats and grey zone activities, as we're seeing across the Indo-Pacific, is completely unacceptable.
President Xi also said China would never bully smaller countries. Deep fractures are emerging in the Morrison government over vaccine mandates. More coalition MPs are tonight threatening to cross the floor as a new speaker flexed his powers in Parliament.
A new speaker and a new freedom to attack ministers off the leash.
Up on charges, off to jail. They've got enough people in Silverwater prison now to start a branch of the Labor Party there, Mr Speaker.
He's completely defying the standing orders and he's smirking about it.
Barnaby Joyce stunned at what he's able to get away with.
How am I going? All right?
We've got 40 seconds.
I like this bloke more than the last fella.
The last fella, Tony Smith, tough on the rules, stepping down before retiring. His replacement, largely unknown Queenslander Andrew Wallace, not so, leaving the Prime Minister in stitches. That laughter short-lived as an internal government uprising spreads from the Senate to the House of Representatives. Queensland National George Christensen, joining 5 senators in the government, overturns state and business vaccine mandates, or else he'll vote against government legislation. Renegade Senator Gerard Rennick admitting he's not vaccinated.
Basically because I wanted to see longer-term data.
The government is effectively being held hostage at the moment.
None of the rebels has voted against any government legislation yet, but the threat now in both houses is calculated, tailored to undermine Scott Morrison's authority just months out of an election. Jackie Lambie joining in, scolding Mr Morrison for not introducing promised legislation for a Federal Integrity Commission.
It's another lie.
Declaring Shield preference against his government in crucial Tasmanian seats.
He's incompetent, he's not a leader, and I'm enjoying watching him and you fall apart. It's as simple as that.
Mark Riley, 7 News.
A Mildura man who shook his baby to death because he was angry about a wrong pizza order has been sentenced to 8.5 years prison. 21-year-old Evander Wilson flew into a rage over a missing bottle of soft drink. When his son Jacoby began crying, Wilson bounced and shook the baby for a minute. The 6-month-old went pale and stopped breathing and later died in hospital. A civil war threatens to erupt in the wake of Tim Paine's removal as Test captain. Tasmania's Cricket Board has launched a stinging attack on Cricket Australia, calling its treatment of Paine the worst in 50 years.
His first innings back from neck surgery. Tim Paine lasted just 2 deliveries for Tasmania's second 11 as Cricket Tasmania's chairman came off the long run. Andrew Gagan launching an extraordinary attack on Cricket Australia. The anger amongst the Tasmanian cricket community and general public is palpable, says Gagan. The treatment afforded to the Australian Test captain has been appalling and the worst since Bill Lawry over 50 years ago. It was Cricket Australia that investigated and cleared Paine of any misconduct in 2018 over a string of lewd text messages with a female employee. Then Integrity Officer Sean Carroll looked into the incident. The former police officer, who is now head of integrity at Racing Victoria, found Paine didn't breach Cricket Australia's code of conduct.
That you always do it under the assumption that it will get out, so you have to be able to stand next to that decision.
The sexting scandal providing endless fodder for the Barmy Army 15 days out from the Ashes.
He is going to catch it. To be honest with you, I don't think Australia should play him. I honestly don't. I think it's detrimental to the team.
Mr Paine's certainly done us a little favour with some of our songs there, so I think Mr Warner's pleased that Mr Paine's the new target.
Andrew McCormack, 7 News.
And there's breaking news on Tim Paine's replacement. Tim Watson, the search for the new captain has begun.
Mitch, Cricket Australia has outlined how the next skipper will be selected. We'll be live with the details shortly. Also, the AFL's new footy boss outlines the rules staying and going in 2022. And the stars of the future gather ahead of tomorrow night's draft. We'll speak to this year's bolter and Mitch, a first for LeBron James in his 19-year career. That's coming up soon.
OK, thank you, Tim. See you then. Next, charges laid over the violent road rage attack that shocked Melbourne. Also, William Tyrrell's foster parents face court. Boris Johnson's rambling speech so bizarre it's raised questions about his health. Christmas delivery chaos looming as Melbourne FedEx workers are locked out. And later, nasal spray treatment for depression and how to claim instant cash off your power bill. A 59-year-old man from Caroline Springs has been charged over a violent altercation at Deer Park. The other man in the fight drove himself to hospital while the alleged offender was detained at the scene and taken to hospital under police guard. Both suffered non-life-threatening injuries. Police say all parties are known to each other. A judge has suppressed details of a criminal charge against the foster parents of William Tyrrell, revealing the allegation has nothing to do with William's disappearance 7 years ago. As that matter was heard in court, investigators uncovered potential new evidence in the search for the missing boy.
As the sun returned to Kendall, so did the power tools, clearing the southern side of Battar Creek Road. In the coming days, it will resemble the northern side. Vegetation gone, soil upturned and sifted, with anything remotely interesting removed and taken to Sydney for forensic analysis. Sydney is where William Tyrrell's foster parents used separate lawyers today as an assault matter was heard in court for the first time.
Detective, is there anything you can say about the case at all?
Are you still confident of finding William?
The couple sought an adjournment for a few weeks to consider entering a plea. While it was Triforce Roseanne investigators who charged William's foster parents with the common assault of a child, today Magistrate Robin Deans ruled that the William Tyrrell investigation has nothing to do with what she had before her. Therefore, she said, the public interest was not served by allowing details of the case to be aired, and it was suppressed. There's nothing disclosed in this matter that aids that public interest. What's the public interest, other than, dare I say it, the clickbait issue? That matter will be challenged in court early next month, by which time this forensic archaeological dig might be nearing its conclusion.
It's still going to take a lot of time. I mean, they're searching for bone fragments, they're searching for teeth of a young child, etc. Those items are quite small.
Evidence markers K, L and M were laid out today, with items seized and bagged for examination, among many, to determine whether the body of 3-year-old William Tyrrell was ever here. In Kendall, Robert Ovadia, 7 News.
Christmas parcel delays could be about to get worse, with delivery giant FedEx in an industrial dispute with its workers. The company locked out delivery drivers this morning after they stopped work, demanding better pay and conditions.
They're already 11% behind their peers in the industry.
There are concerns the dispute will escalate in the lead-up to Christmas. Boris Johnson has delivered a car crash of a speech so bizarre it's raised serious questions on his health. The British Prime Minister praised Peppa Pig, imitated a car and then badly lost his place.
A serious speech to powerful business leaders that became a bit of a joke.
Yesterday I went, as we all must, to Peppa Pig World.
Recalling his day out with wife Carrie and son Wilfred at the English theme park.
Hands up anyone who's been to Peppa Pig World. Not enough. But I loved it, and Peppa Pig World is very much my kind of place.
I'm Peppa Pig.
Boris Johnson praised the cartoon as an example of British creativity in a speech described by tabloids as bizarre.
With fantastic broadband,
it took 21 seconds to recover from this.
Forgive me. People will have the confidence to stay nearer the place they grew up.
Before talking about cars, electric vehicles.
EVs may not burble like sucking doves, and they may not have that rum, rum, rah, rah.
A speech where the Prime Minister also likened himself to the biblical figure Moses and prompted this question.
Frankly, is everything okay?
I think that people got the vast majority of the points I wanted to make.
It all comes at a difficult time for Boris Johnson as he faces a growing backbench rebellion over a series of policy missteps and broken election promises, with some of his own MPs said to be considering a move of no confidence in the Conservative leader. In London, Hugh Whitfield, 7 News.
Disgraced Hollywood star Kevin Spacey has been ordered to pay House of Cards producers more than $40 million for breach of contract. Production was halted when Spacey was fired on sexual misconduct allegations in 2017, costing tens of millions of dollars. Spacey lost the case but has always denied assault claims. La Nina has officially arrived. Jane Barn is here to explain, and Jane, it's set to significantly impact our summer.
Mitch, overall, La Nina makes our summer wetter and cooler than average. It's not wet and cool all the time, but when it rains, it's heavier, and when it's hot, it's not extreme. Day to day, we see more thunderstorms and more flooding. With all that rain, prolonged bushfires are reduced. But the grass rapidly grows, so there's grass and crop fires instead. We still get warm days, yes, but extreme heat is less likely. We'll have a taste of the increased rain in Victoria this week. I'll have more after sport, Mitch.
Thanks, Jane. See you then. Vaccine changes have left Melbourne parents in limbo. Now children as young as 5 face the prospect of being locked out. Also, what was behind a Christmas parade tragedy in the US? The moment an out-of-control garbage truck flattened a home. And the nasal spray offering fresh hope for Victorians with depression. A vaccine mandate for children as young as 5 is under serious consideration from the Andrews government, but it has raised concerns with health experts.
A COVID vaccine for 5 to 11-year-olds is still awaiting approval, but the Premier isn't ruling out a mandate.
We don't have public health advice on those issues yet, so I can't say one way or the other.
Some epidemiologists say Victoria's population vax rates are high enough, meaning it's unnecessary to include children in the vaccinated economy.
Families where the majority of people are vaccinated, younger children, if they're not vaccinated, shouldn't then lead to the family being broken up and not being able to get together at restaurants.
I would just remind you that we have no jab, no play in literally hundreds and hundreds of early childhood settings right across our state. That's not new.
Children were unexpectedly sidelined from play over the weekend with confusion over the rules, requiring over 12s to be fully vaccinated to enter stadiums. The state government later explained the mandate doesn't apply to community sports. The Health Department clarified an exemption for unvaccinated school students aged over 12 when on an excursion. They can still participate in an event at a sporting and recreation centre, but all parents and spectators must be fully vaccinated to attend if the venue requires. Organisations like Basketball Victoria are setting their own rules. Players aged over 12 years and 2 months are being benched if they don't have the jab.
The key thing for us is making sure that there's consistency within the operations of basketball. We understand that our associations all work out of different venues with different venue operators.
Jade Vincent, 7 News.
Wild winds off Victoria's coastline could help power millions of homes within a decade. The Andrews government is pouring $40 million into 3 major offshore wind projects.
We will be building the project at sea, approximately 30 to 40 metres of water depth, around 10 to 20 kilometres from the coast.
Up to 3.6 million homes could be powered by the turbines. We're learning more tonight about the man in the US accused of mowing down innocent families in a Christmas parade tragedy. The accused has a long history of crime and was fleeing a knife attack when he sped through a Wisconsin crowd.
Picking up the pieces along Walkershaw's Christmas parade route after the town's 58-year-old tradition took a horrifying turn. Haunted by what they saw,
I love this stuff. I can't even look out.
Shopkeepers Dan and Becky Faustman, helpless as the car mowed down participants and spectators.
All of a sudden this car comes by like 30 miles an hour, 40 miles an hour and just taking people out. And just kept going down the road and hitting people.
The man police now say was behind the wheel, 39-year-old Daryl Brooks. Wannabe rapper seen here performing in front of the SUV, police now say he turned into a tool of murder. He was on bail, facing domestic violence charges. Today, he faces at least 5 new counts of intentional homicide. Police say he was fleeing a nearby knife fight when he terrorised the town's main street.
We are confident he acted alone. There is no evidence that this is a terrorist incident.
Among those killed, members of the Milwaukee Dancing Grannies. Main Street still bears the marks of yesterday's horror, and this town still has a long fight ahead. The local children's hospital says it treated 10 children in intensive care. 6 remain in a critical condition. In Walkershaw, Wisconsin, Tim Lester, 7 News.
The sobbing teenager acquitted of murdering 2 men during a riot in the US denies he's not a poster boy for Conservatives. Kyle Rittenhouse says he's sickened he's been used by both sides of politics.
It wasn't Kyle Rittenhouse on trial in Wisconsin. It was the right to self-defense on trial. Right. And if I was convicted, no one would ever be privileged to defend their life against attackers.
The interview forms part of a documentary to air next month. And an 80-year-old homeowner has survived a terrifying ordeal after an out-of-control garbage truck ploughed into his New Jersey property. The truck hit with such force the front of the home collapsed. Both the owner and the driver were injured but are expected to make a full recovery. A nasal spray is offering new hope to Victorians with depression. It's just received TGA approval and aims to help patients who don't respond to traditional treatments.
Antidepressants are the go-to treatment for severe depression, but in a third of sufferers, oral medication doesn't work.
It affects every aspect of their life, their work, their family life, and they really are looking for something to help them.
Now a nasal spray could be the answer, promising to change the game for those cases previously labelled treatment resistant.
It is the first treatment in mental health
that we've had in this sort of formulation.
The therapy is prescription only. A derivative of ketamine is sprayed into the nose, then absorbed into the bloodstream.
In the brain, it works on a transmitter called glutamate that we've not targeted before in depression, and that seems to be helpful for a significant number of people.
But Beyond Blue warns it's not a cure-all and may not be for everyone.
This one requires medical supervision, quite a lot of intense side effects, and needs to be really managed by specialists.
Before the pandemic, 1 million Australians suffered from depression in any given year, but now that's predicted to be even higher. Beyond Blue says there's been an increase in the number of people reaching out for help.
Medications are only one part of a treatment approach, which includes psychological treatments, healthy lifestyles, turning down the volume on stress and really looking after yourself.
Sonia Marinelli, 7 News.
Still to come tonight, the Melbourne suburbs facing crippling road congestion. Also, instant cash off your power bill. How to claim a share of more than $700 million. The dramatic moment a furious driver snapped. New research into how exercise can help stall dementia. And the surprise reunion that brought Adele to tears. Melbourne drivers are facing crippling congestion despite more people working from home. Infrastructure Victoria has predicted key roads and public transport will be clogged earlier during the morning peak.
Working from home is not going to solve congestion. It will certainly reduce congestion in the inner and middle bits of Melbourne.
Congestion increases are being blamed on more and more people moving to the outer suburbs and regional areas during the pandemic. A man has been charged after a road rage attack on a highway in Western Australia. Dashcam video shows the dramatic confrontation, which began after one driver blocked another from merging into his lane. One of the men was allegedly stabbed during the exchange of blows. Victorians struggling with the cost of their power bill can claim a cash bonus just in time for Christmas. $700 million is up for grabs in the government scheme, but you need to act fast.
After spending unprecedented amounts of time at home, household power bills have skyrocketed.
It's meant I've had to have been very creative with work and be very frugal. Yeah.
Now, at the most expensive time of the year, there's cash available for struggling Victorians. They can claim a $250 one-off payment to help with the cost of electricity.
$250 may not sound like a lot, but that's 2 months or more of energy bills in some cases.
The money is deposited directly into bank accounts as part of the government's household energy affordability scheme.
I didn't know anything about that. Nothing at all. No.
The program was introduced 12 months ago, but just 300,000 householders have cashed in.
The bonus is $797 million, but so far only about $76 million has been claimed.
But time is running out with the January 31 cashback deadline looming. To be eligible, households must have at least one member claiming benefits, such as JobKeeper, youth allowance or a pension. Power bills are the biggest financial stresses for Victorians after rent and mortgage costs. Summer energy bills are set to more than 500,000 Australian households, keeping the cooling on when they're not home.
When I'm out, I like to leave the tally on so he's got some nice friendly voices to listen to. In the summer, leaving the aircon on.
For Elizabeth, some things are worth more than money. Jackie Quist, 7 News.
To finance news now, and the ASX 200 closed 58 points higher. Resource and energy stocks led the rebound. Harvey Norman shares rose ahead of the retailer's annual shareholder meeting. Our dollar is buying 72.16 US cents. Exercise can stall the development of dementia and Alzheimer's disease, according to new research from the University of California. The study found physical activity can slow neurodegeneration and ageing. Too much activation of immune cells in the brain can cause damaging inflammation, but exercise can decrease it. 167 older people took part in the study, essentially finding that getting your heart pumping helps your grey matter. Singing superstar Adele has been brought to tears in a surprise reunion with her former high school teacher.
I'm so proud of you. I didn't know these. Oh, you look exactly the same.
Adele took a question from actor Emma Thompson, who asked whether there was anyone in her past who had inspired her. Sport is next with Tim Watson. Speaking of inspirations, Tim, the AFL has a solution to a big bugbear for fans.
Mitch Footy's new boss is on a mission to rein in time wasters. Up next, Brad Scott outlines what next season will look like and if the stand rule is here to stay. Why Nick Dacos says he's upset as we get the final word from draftees ahead of the biggest night of their lives. A dirty day for Tim Payne. We're live with fresh developments on the search for his replacement. And punishment handed down to King James after his on-court scuffle. Welcome back. The AFL is promising to clamp down on time wasting in the latest attempt to speed up the game. New footy boss Brad Scott is on a mission to get fans back enjoying the game.
Brad Scott is like a new sheriff. The football boss decides the rules. One bugbear, time wasting.
Yeah, we definitely will. Yeah.
The competition committee broadly agree. These time wasting examples shown in today's meeting. Opposition players may even have a positive obligation to pick the ball up and hand it back as soon as possible.
It's fair to say it was unanimous in terms of the fact that we want the game to flow, but acknowledging that when you're a coach and your team's defending, slowing down the movement of the ball is the goal number one. So again, we've just got to adjudicate the rules, and there's been a bit of slippage there and we've got to tidy that up. Brett Ratton, his team appeared in a few examples, so he wasn't happy.
The bump is here to stay. The issue this off-season, exactly what's permissible. McKay on Hunter Clark and Plowman on O'Meara, both shown at today's meeting.
If you're late and you hit the player in the head, you're going to be in trouble. And there's broad acceptance of that amongst the clubs.
The controversial stand rule here to stay. Insiders say the Tigers didn't raise concerns today after Richmond boss Brendan Gale recently called the rule unedifying. And St Kilda AFLW player Georgia Patrikios has publicly discussed her vaccination status, acknowledging late today she remains unvaccinated and committing to learning more before making a final decision on her career. Tom Brown, 7 News.
Collingwood bound Nick Dacos has been left upset on the eve of the AFL draft. Mitch Cleary is live with the details. And Mitch, some future stars are getting together tonight.
Tim, the excitement is building here in Richmond for a Connors Sports pre-draft party before a night that will change these players' lives. The big topic of the last 24 hours has been Collingwood father-son in waiting Nick Dacos. He'll join Collingwood tomorrow, but wants to be an early pick, revealing he was upset he hadn't been sounded out by GWS. The Giants hold pick 2, and although it appears unlikely, haven't ruled out bidding on Dacos tomorrow.
It was definitely interesting. It wasn't my intentions, and it rubbed people off the wrong way, and that wasn't my intention. But I'm just aspiring to, get the best out of myself.
I don't think you can rule it out. We're finalising things tomorrow morning. Nick's a great player. We watched him through the first half of the year and really rate his talent. He's committed to Collingwood, and we wish him all the best there in the future.
Meantime, Gold Coast have zeroed in on a top 5 prospect that has turned heads this season. Inside 12 months, Mac Andrew was catapulted from a top 20 draft hope to a likely top 5 pick.
Didn't really imagine how it would go. Kind of shocked myself to see how I've gone, but it's been really exciting.
The 18-year-old adding 10 kilograms this year while growing 2 centimetres to stand 202, wowing clubs with his athleticism. There's no basketball ring too high for you?
I don't know, maybe somewhere, but I think that one was 10 foot, so that was pretty easy.
Tipped to start in attack and mature into an imposing ruckman, Andrew has been part of Melbourne's next generation academy, but won't get there, with recent rule changes meaning the Demons can't match a top 20 bid.
I just want to get on a list at the end of the day, whether it is Melbourne or any other club. We all start from the same spot, so it doesn't really matter what happens.
Born in Egypt to parents who fled South Sudan, Andrew arrived in Australia in 2004 and wants to emulate idols Majak Daw and Changkwath Jath.
Watching them on TV when you're 10, 11, 12, you just kind of think, I want to do what they're doing in the future. And I guess to think that I could live out that dream of doing that and potentially being, I guess, idols of other kids, it's surreal.
Mitch Cleary, 7 News.
Cricket Australia has identified a 5-person panel that will select Australia's next Test captain. Andrew McCormack has the latest from Cricket Australia headquarters. And Andrew, multiple candidates have been identified.
That's right, Tim. The National Selection Panel has identified a shortlist of candidates to be Australia's 47th Test captain. Pat Cummins, the unbackable favourite at this stage, highly likely to get the nod. Steve Smith, also likely to be named as his deputy. Now that candidates have been nominated for a shortlist, the panel has been created to pore through those and then make recommendations to the board to be the next captain. That 5-person panel, Richard Freudenstein, Cricket Australia's chair, Mel Jones, a board director, Nick Hockley, the CEO, and 2 selectors, Tony Dodemaide and George Bailey. Interestingly enough, Justin Langer, not part of that final selection panel. Candidates will be interviewed in the coming days. They'll be asked questions about their leadership philosophies and how they expect them to captain the Test team. The key findings to be delivered to Cricket Australia in the coming days. We could have a new captain as early as this weekend. Now, Tim Payne, he was out for just one, facing 2 deliveries. LBW in Tasmania's second 11 clash. George Bailey says he'll recuse himself from debate over his place in the Test team for the first Test due to perceived bias. Now, Marnus Labuschagne wrapped on the gloves. This will have hearts in mouths for selectors ahead of the first Test. The Shield clash was called off at Karen Rolto Oval in Adelaide due to a dodgy pitch. They'll get play underway tomorrow, but luckily Marnus escaped uninjured, Tim.
Thanks, Macca. And for the first time in his 19-year career, LeBron James has been suspended following yesterday's nasty on-court altercation. He copped a 1-game ban for recklessly hitting Detroit centre Isaiah Stewart in the face. Stewart will miss 2 games for aggressively continuing the brawl. And Mitch, those youngsters, AFL youngsters, very excited, anxious time for them right now.
It's a big night, draft night, isn't it, for them? Their future's decided. Thank you, Tim. Jane is next with the forecast. And Jane, it's turning humid.
Mitch, we are entering a warm, humid and unsettled stretch, but it all clears out in time for the weekend. The details are next. Hello again. Temperatures jumped up today. That's ahead of an unsettled couple of days ahead. After starting on 15, it did reach a top of 26 in the city. It's still up on 25 now. The next significant period of weather began in the far west of the state this afternoon. Showers and thunderstorms tending to areas of steady rain. Now, some developed ahead of the main band here in central parts. Now, that is what is entering Melbourne now. It is spreading down from the north. A broad area of low pressure is set to affect us for the next few days. Cyclone Paddy, the first of the season, developed last night. That is pushing tropical moisture into this system. So anyone in that path, it's humid with rain. Here's how the first part should play out. The showers and thunderstorms spread through overnight. They keep going tomorrow over northern and eastern parts and just into Melbourne. Warm, humid and unsettled. The second part is on Thursday and Friday. By Thursday afternoon, the northeastern half of the state is fairly covered in rain. Now, in latest guidance, the back edge of this has shifted. Much of Melbourne, you can see there, may miss out on this rain. The rain contracts to eastern Victoria on Friday, only a little bit for the southwest. Now, depending where the low actually moves, it could bring this much rain by the weekend. Heavier falls are in the upper Mallee and eastern half of the state, while the Wimmera, southwest and central parts miss out. Looks like only outer northeastern suburbs of Melbourne see that rain now, and the northwest too. But that is still a lot of those areas, and it puts these catchments on flood watch. Minor to moderate flooding likely to begin late in the week. So around the nation tomorrow, where the current pattern brings widespread wet weather. Showers and thunderstorms for the central and eastern capitals. To Victoria, widespread showers in the northern Mallee and through the east. There is less, though, for the rest. But there is the risk of thunderstorms, and they bring heavy rain anywhere. It is humid tomorrow, a taste of Queensland. Closer in, The morning generally dry, but the humidity is high. The afternoon and evening brings the risk of showers and thunderstorms. Now, it may end up dry for much of the time tomorrow and quite sunny, but I'd certainly keep the umbrella handy. The city heading for a humid top of 24, the chance of showers and heavy storms later. On the 8-day outlook, Thursday, quite cloudy. That rain has moved eastward, so we are generally dry, but northeastern suburbs may see up to 10 millimetres. That clears out during the morning on Friday. It's cooler then, but the weekend, 19, then 22, and then we're warming up in the sunshine next week. So a humid top of 24 tomorrow. There's the chance of a late shower, or it could be a heavy storm, Mitch.
Thanks to Nina. Thank you, Jane. Now, here's what's on. And that's the way it is this Tuesday, the 23rd of November. Thanks for your company. For now, from the 7 News team, good night.